This is an open letter for Mayor Ted Wheeler, city leadership of Portland, Oregon, and really any public servant who's considering the use of tear gas. I have a more formal professional version on Medium if you prefer to read that. This version will be a little more emotional. I have been upset lately. Everyone has. I am very upset that citizens' rightful anger and upset over recent events has been met with the very violence and brutality that they're protesting. And Portland has looked like a war zone almost every night this week. And I cannot stay quiet. I'm scared to speak up, but I have to. Please listen to your constituents. I am a constituent, and I am here to offer my experience as a warning because my experience sucked, and I am seeing a lot of potential for harm here. Allergies and chronic illness affects people of all backgrounds. It's universal, so we really have to talk about it. I ask you to please make the morally correct decision for public health. In 2016, I started working for Starbucks, and 2 months into that job, I developed terrible rashes in my palms. There were holes in my palms. It was all up the back of my hands and wrists. It was very painful. I was itchy constantly. It was just a background radiation of constant itching. And when you itch, you scratch, right? But when I scratched these rashes, they turned into thick, terrible welts that bled. Eventually, I learned that I have a whole stack of allergies. There are all kinds of products I have to avoid completely, including cosmetics, soap, lotion. I have had several awkward encounters turning down fragranced hand sanitizer. Eventually, one of my eyebrows even started falling out, and I was afraid to shower. I was afraid to touch my face. I was afraid to touch anything. Then, finally, diagnosis. I have autoimmune urticaria, or chronic idiopathic hives. The call was coming from inside the house. Essentially, I'm allergic to myself for complicated microbiological reasons that are totally out of my control. However, there's this medication called Xolair, Xolair. It is expensive, but it was worth it because basically they waved a couple magic syringes and 4 hours later my eyelids started deflating. My poor wallet. What an easy choice to make, though. Thank you, family and patient foundations. I have to remain in constant vigilance. If there's a shortage of respirators, I won't get picked for care. This would suck way more if I were black, though, because I might still be wondering, why is this happening to me? Or even worse, I might have a diagnosis and not be able to afford the medication or products needed to manage my conditions, plural. There are so many hurdles I will never encounter because of the color of my skin, whether it's intact or not. We need to talk about the public health crisis that is tear gas, because it's a powdered chemical irritant. The manufacturer's guidelines for cleanup are a whole page. There's a professor of criminology of justice from the Northern Michigan University, Charles Meslow, said we don't even know what chemicals are in many of these products because manufacturers are not required to release the ingredients, even though they're used on the public. The Geneva Protocol banned the use of gas on enemy combatants in wartime 95 years ago. 95 years ago, the Geneva Protocol was passed. The Portland Police Bureau is committing war crimes against average citizens, essential workers, houseless people, and protesters. How is this proportionate? If you need to commit a war crime to contain the population, maybe the population are not the ones out of control. There is also a danger to motorists who can be blinded, panicked, and drive into crowds. This did almost happen in Portland. What about open windows on upper floor apartments? Those billowing clouds of gas rise and contaminate people who live in our cities. I asked my doctor, what if I get exposed to tear gas with all my conditions? Their advice was, don't go downtown. Excuse me? That is unacceptable. Unacceptable! I had a job downtown before I was laid off because of COVID. I might again someday. What if I'm in the wrong place at the wrong time? Fuck me, I guess. If makeup, lotion, and soap did this to me, how do you think I would react to tear gas? I shudder to think what the result would be if anyone with allergies or a chronic illness were exposed to these poisons. Tear gas can also cause birth defects. It can cause miscarriages. Tear gas is an abortifacient. If you are pregnant or you think you're pregnant, please do not go to a protest, because if you're exposed to tear gas, you will lose your baby. Are the police here to protect and serve, or to gas and harass? Is anyone monitoring the effect this is having on our atmosphere? What about EPA limits? Kokomo Glass made national news for polluting our air, so why should the police be held to a lesser standard? I've included a full list of long and short-term symptoms on Medium, but it includes vomiting, and we're all wearing masks trying to protect ourselves from a pandemic right now. What is it like to vomit into a mask? Gross. Tear gas is designed to induce dyspnea, which is the medical term for I can't breathe. Although long-term effects are unlikely to occur, they can and do develop. For people who already have autoimmune and allergic conditions, exposure to these chemicals is a true disaster. There is a protester named Sarah Grossman who already died from being pepper sprayed in Columbus, Ohio. Asthma sufferers all over the country may suffer similar fates if we do not implement major sweeping change. Not soon, not tomorrow, not after a series of committees and studies. Now. These harmful irritants cause people's noses and eyes to stream with mucus. It causes people to cough, and you have to remove your mask to wash the chemicals off. Medical aid cannot be rendered from a responsible social distance. So please tell me how use of tear gas is not exacerbating the COVID-19 pandemic. When people are taken into custody, are they allowed to distance and wear masks? Or are they being packed into buses and cells like sardines? Are the police weaponizing a pandemic? What happened to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? It is every public servant's duty to protect the constitutional rights of their constituents, including the right to protest. I'm not even allowed to exist downtown right now because a pack of heavily armored, grown-ass adults in riot armor might get spooked. I'm allergic to most topical supplies and medical kits, so if something terrible should happen, even if I'm not at a protest, I could be at risk. Pepper spray is just as dangerous and could send me into a truly prolonged or tragically short health crisis. Should I feel just constantly worried for my safety if I'm out in public? This is how Black people feel in every space constantly. Why are we accepting this as the status quo? We should not. Portland feels very unsafe right now, and it is because of police equipment and behavior. I am furious, livid that my taxes have paid for this. This is not okay. I rarely post or speak about my health struggles publicly. The photos of my condition are painful, embarrassing, and they document some of the worst moments of my life. I wanted to keep these private, but I don't want anyone else to suffer my fate. I am standing here with a warning sign saying, this is what you will do to your citizens if you use these riot control agents. The sources of my illness may have been a mystery, but anyone exposed to tear gas or pepper spray will know exactly where to point the finger. There is real and lasting impact on the health and well-being of our communities because of these munitions. If I'm exposed to tear gas, pepper spray, or any other chemical respiratory irritants, I will be forwarding my anonymized chart notes, medical bills, and photographic documentation directly to my mayor's office so that you will understand the real, personal, human cost at stake here. You need to understand the gravity of these decisions. I encourage anyone else who experiences allergic reactions or incurs medical bills from police action to do the same. Please make sure you anonymize your bills and stuff, please. We must immediately ban chemical weapons prohibited for use in wartime from use in our streets. Tear gas needs to be removed as an option for any reason or purpose. I will not be voting for any politicians who do not have a firm and sweeping tear gas ban in their platform. I truly hope that others will support me in this initiative. If you can, if you're able, please donate to the Portland Protest Bail Fund and Don't Shoot Portland. There are links in the description, plus sources. And I thank you for your time and for considering my perspective. It wasn't easy to collate my experience and research all of this, but I really hope it is helpful for some. My name is Madison Russell, and I am a citizen of Portland, Oregon. Thank you for listening. Only dicks use tear gas. Don't be a dick.